여보세요. Light stick. Infinite. I should have shown it here when I did the unboxing. Well, you have to do this, like, just so you can see the colors. All right. Page 2. Finishing up page 2. We got woohoo, and we got my headphones on. Okay. Let's check it out.
Welcome to my world, welcome to my world. Hey, hey, break it down now. Hey, hey, here we go now. 나만 빼고 비슷비슷 똑같대. 다른 애들 oops oops 미안한데. 하루에도 수십 번씩 뜨는 고백. I just wanna love you. 여기저기 어디 가도 빛난대. 매일 지겹도록 내게 우리 be my lady, 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 baby, baby, baby. I just wanna love you. 물은 쭈꾸루 쫓가고픈데 주위는 시끌시끌 소란스럽지. 아무렇지 않은 척하는데 사실 두고두고 나를 설레지. 다 뒤돌아봐 우후 나만 보면 눈에 띄나봐 우후 너만 보면 가슴이 쿵쿵 이제 불을 둬. 머리에 퉁퉁 타올라 come on 비굴 나쁘지만 않아 사랑받는 기분. 나를 보고 있어도 보고 싶어. 자꾸 내 생각이 날 거야. It feels good. Come to my world, welcome to my world. 머리부터 발끝까지 모두 perfect. 10점 만점 중에 10점도 부족해. 누구라도 나를 보면 하는 고백. I just wanna love you. 여기저기 나를 찾는 소리 들려. 점점 길어지는 줄은 끝이 없어. Hurry, 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 maybe, maybe, maybe. If you wanna get me, 물은 쭈꾸루 쫓가고픈데 주위는 시끌시끌 소란스럽지. 아무렇지 않은 척하는데 사실 두고두고 나를 설레지. 다 뒤돌아봐 우후 나만 보면 눈에 띄나봐 우후 너만 보면 가슴이 쿵쿵 이제 불을 둬. 머리에 퉁퉁 타올라 come on 비굴 나쁘지만 않아 사랑받는 기분. 나를 보고 있어도 보고 싶어. 자꾸 내 생각이 날 거야. It feels good. 난 그때만의 sweet love 그때만의 sweet dream 날 보면 볼수록 내가 좋아질걸. 생각할수록 내게 더 빠져들어. Sweet love, ooh, sweet dream. Hey, hey, break it down now. Hey, hey, here we go now. 다 뒤돌아봐 우후 나만 보면 눈에 띄나봐 우후 너만 보면 가슴이 쿵쿵 이제 불을 둬. 머리에 퉁퉁 타올라 come on 비굴 나쁘지만 않아 사랑받는 기분. 나를 보고 있어도 보고 싶어. 자꾸 내 생각이 날 거야. It feels good. Hey, 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 break it down now. Here we go now. Hey, 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 break it down now.
Sounding like a parade, feeling like a parade, you know. Definitely with the horn sounds that were going off. So a big eighth note type of subdivision here, like this throughout most of the song. A little bit of a shuffle rhythm in the percussion. This 1, 2, and 3, 4. Right, like there's a little bit of that step, sort of a dance type of rhythm that's in there. There's this percussive type of it's like a click, right? And it has a bit of a retard on it, like it slows down. At first it's fast, it's like tick 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 tick. And what it was doing is it starts in the left, and then like once it gets sort of halfway, it's in the middle, and by the time it really slows down and stops, it's in the right. So it pans from left to right, and then there was one part, I think it was like maybe right almost at the bridge, where it was like and when it hit right, it went. There was like a synth, like rising synth sound that sent it back from right to left, and it was fun. It was fun. But that one particular percussive sound in there that's sort of really playing around with that space, that left to right sort of space that is in the mix. At first, starts off with some nice harmonizations, and a bit of a surprise again once the actual mix starts to kick in there. Definitely more like concise in its structure than the tuk tuk, right? Because that was just such a wild pattern work of syncopated rhythms and stuff. This is much more tight groove in throughout all the parts. The bass is nice. There's some nice descending lines in this too. The vocal would have descending lines towards a lot of the end of its phrasings. Very intuitive, right? But it was fun. It sounded very much like a parade. Lots of these big sounds, though, right? Like once the horns come in, and then you got the harmonizations, the vocals. Like it's very, very big, huge sounds going on. And it made me think of a parade. Made me think of like a marching band and stuff like that. So this entire album has a bit of that, from cheer up to touchdown. Even in Tuk Tuk and now Woohoo, there's a lot of these types of sounds. These in the percussion too, right? A lot of these sort of drumline types rhythms and stuff that are going on. And it's fun. It's I guess that's part of the concept. Now, I guess I didn't really mention it at the beginning, but page 2. So the first album, the story begins to page 2. Of the story, right? You know what I mean? Like that sort of thing. But it has a lot of this type of sound to it. This very sporty, kind of like high school energy type of vibe. You know what I mean? Precious Love being the track that sort of occupies a different type of space with its style and everything. It doesn't sit too far outside the realm. It still works because it had more of a modern, contemporary sort of upbeat take on a very classic type of song structure, love song structure. So I'm seeing the tie together of this album as this type of sound, this sporty, anthemic type of sound, incorporating a lot of your sort of drumline-esque percussion work, and also the sort of that horn sound, a sort of a marching band type of sound. Makes for really fun songs, though, really fun tracks. Woohoo is fun. It has big, bright energy. If I can relate it to another group song or whatever, kind of reminded me of like Zimzalabim. We definitely have some harmonic minor key work going on here in what the horns are doing, and a little bit of the vocal melody as well. But most of your rhythm structures are going to be using that or use that eighth note subdivision. So a lot of your, if you count 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and That's where most of the rhythm patterns sort of stick to. The obvious departure from that is going to be in the percussion, where we do get the 16th note sort of shuffle rhythm to do that 1, a 2, 3, and 4, 1, a 2, right? So it's if you have 1 and a 2 and we're going 1, a 2, that 16th note that comes right after the upbeat of the first quarter note beat in the measure there. And so but a lot of the same big energy that was in Tuk Tuk, but a much more consistent type of flow to it, as opposed to the sort of pattern work, syncopated and sophisticated work that was going on in Tuk Tuk. It's very fun so far. This album is like it's a good time. It's a lot of fun, which I should have been anticipating for sure, because it's Twice and it's their second album. It does demonstrate a lot of that early young Twice energy that like they're still at this point in time, they're still a relatively new group, right? Like they're still very, very fresh into their time together, and so it definitely has that spirit. Okay, let's go ahead and wrap things up with my headphones on. Now, from what I do know, this is a bit of a I don't know what it's going to sound like, but the concept or whatever is supposed to be sort of a song about like there was a relationship and it came to an end, and so this is sort of like a lot of things going on, with that, a lot of feelings and all that, but I'm gonna just put my headphones on and listen to music and sort of get through, sort of deal with things that way. Very much in tune with this whole sort of concept, right, of this, because that's what it's like. I probably for everybody in high school, after a certain generation or whatever. I mean, I know for me, that's what if in high school, if I wasn't in class or if I wasn't doing something, associated with that, that's probably what I was doing. So I had my earbuds in, right, and I was listening to music or whatever pretty much the whole time. So it's just sort of relating it to, in terms of that concept, you know what I mean, but tying it into a bit of a requited love or maybe something that didn't work out, you know what I mean, as far as that goes. But I've been curious about this for a while, just to see what it actually sounds like.
어디든 같이 가고 싶다고 해서 너는 내 목소리를 들어야만 놓인다 해서 헤어지는 상상을 먼저 하진 않았어. 좋았으니까 안 그런 척해도 널 좋아해서 차가워진 사실 조금 아팠어. 슬펐으니까 눈물이 나는 걸 꼭 참았어. Goodbye라도 괜찮아. 내 헤드폰 써. 나 혼자인 게 어땠어. 난 또 헤드폰 써. Goodbye라도 괜찮아. 내 헤드폰 써. 사랑한다면 어땠어. 난 또 헤드폰 써. As long as I got my headphones 뭐가 신기해 like 다들 밥도 못 먹고 잠도 못 잘 거라고 난 우리 엄마 아무런지 못한 듯 나도 아무렇지 않은 듯 Cause I don't care 난 오히려 잘 돼서 끝나가는 느낌은 며칠 모른 척했어 싫었으니까 모른 척했지만 다 알았어 네가 먼저 내 맘을 흔들고 나던 건 나빴으니까 나처럼 너도 좀 슬펐으면 Goodbye라도 괜찮아 내 헤드폰 써 나 혼자인 게 어때서 난 또 헤드폰 써 Goodbye라도 괜찮아 내 헤드폰 써 사랑하면 어때서 난 또 헤드폰 써 Goodbye라도 괜찮아 내 헤드폰 써 나 혼자인 게 어때서 난 또 Nothing gets me down Nothing gets me down You can't hurt me now 넌 이제 모르는 사람이 된 거야 Goodbye라도 괜찮아 내 헤드폰 써 나 혼자인 게 어때서 난 또 헤드폰 써 Goodbye라도 괜찮아 내 헤드폰 써 사랑하면 어때서 난 또 헤드폰 써 Goodbye라도 괜찮아 내 헤드폰 써 나 혼자인 게 어때서 난 또 헤드폰 써
So you have some a medley of classic percussion rhythms going on in this song. A lot from hip hop, but even pop. You know, you have the boom ka ba boom boom ka boom ka ba boom boom ka, right? And then even the ta 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 ta, the little snare hits, right? And then like all of these rhythms are like classic, all-time classic percussive rhythms that have been looped and sampled, and it's a really cool little sequenced selection of these different percussion rhythms that are going on. The bass is really, really fun. It's 808 bass that's going on. It's it's playing, let's see, boom, 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 boom. So it's sticking to quarter notes, right? And then you have some, like, it's simplicity, right? Like this is sort of a very simple type of song, but it's fun, and it creates such a great groove. Your synth rhythm parts that are going on, right? Like in the beginning, that bum ba-dum bum ba-dum bum, right? Like these are simple hooks, very simple motifs that are hooks. Like this song is even the hey, like it's an absolute layer cake of hooks, right? Like all of it. The melodies in the vocal lines as well. Like everything about it is a hook from top to bottom, and it's such a simple. Like this is a definition of like simple but effective. Like it's another very economic use of the in your rhythms, right? In your these different little motifs that are going on in your rhythm parts, the bass too. Like it's not overly complicated at all, and it's so well done. It is it's definitely like it's a quintessential bop. You know what I mean? Like it's just a good time from start to finish. Um, Man, it's and it like when I first was like hearing about the song, like not hearing the song, but like, okay, I was reading about it. Okay, so this is the idea behind it. Okay. I didn't know what direction it would go in, right? But it manages to make something really, really fun out of the idea. It you know what I mean? Like it could have not done that. You know what I mean? Like I think traditionally, or the very orthodox take is for it to not really have that type of sound or not really have that type of feeling to it. But it manages to take this concept and make something that really makes you feel good. You know, like it's really leaves you in quite a pleasant state after hearing it. And it's all just the hooks that are going off in these different parts, by keeping it simple, by keeping it really, really simple. So I'm thinking, now to relate it to a much later song, it's like basics, right? Like it's not overly complicated, but it's extremely catchy in its approach. And just stick to basic patterns. Like really, again, this is a really fine example of like taking what you have and getting the maximum quality out of it, right? Because using these very, very classic drum rhythms and percussion rhythms and stuff, I mean, like those are like staple drum loops, man. Staple drum samples. You can go like music production now, right? Like you can go online and look up for sample packs of audio loops and stuff for music production. And you can go to there's all different kinds of sites for it to distribute this stuff. And they'll have, everything from trap to hip hop to R&B, like anything you want, right? Anything. But you can search up like classic jams, classic hip hop, packs or whatever. And you'll get these sounds. You'll get those different drum rhythms in there because they're that established, man. Like they're absolute all-time. They'll never go away. You'll never ever stop being used at all. And this was such a pleasant. It was like a medley. It was like a medley of those different drum rhythms, right? These different classic percussive rhythms. And it was really, really a good time. This is. I'm trying to tie it all together now, and I'm trying to, okay, because I listen to The Story Begins like all the time. Like I listen to it probably every day. And so I'm thinking in terms of this as a follow-up album to what was the first album, right? And it's really good. It's really like, it's really exactly what it should be. You know what I mean? Like it definitely picked a theme, let's say, because it's not really like a concept. I wouldn't call it a concept for the album, but I would definitely call it a theme, right? And that is that anthemic, sporty, marching band type of sound, right? And it's a wonderful pastiche work of all of those different sounds that you would get, from drumline to brass, the horn sounds, um, uh, but the way that all of these tracks are put together, you know, it's very inventive and it's very fun, and it's a very, very nice direction to go in off of what was their first album. You know, it stayed very rich. Like this album stayed, the overall sounds of every track on here stayed very, very rich. And they managed to pull off some really, really nice things. The harmonizations in Touchdown, the absolute brilliant sort of rhythm pattern work that is Tuk Tuk, the fun parade like feeling of woohoo, this absolute bop that is My Headphones On, and even this new school take on a throwback love song structure that is Precious Love. It's really well done, man. It's really well done and that's again from all these different aspects, from your songwriting and your composition and your production, and having a group like Twice, you know, to pull it off and give it all of this personality and all of this charm. Some of the things they do, I'm telling you, that section of harmonization that occurs in Touchdown is an incredible. It's a beautiful. It's one of the best harmonies I've ever heard. You know, anywhere. It's absolutely wonderful. The fact that they pull that off, and sort of couch it in a song like Touchdown. It's fantastic stuff, man. This album is it's an absolute blast, and it's really impressive just to think that they, you know, this was the follow up to the first album, and it's a classic. It's an absolute classic. Oh man. You know, so I got it, because the thing is, I gotta get through more Twice albums. I gotta add them. I gotta get them into the regular rotation of my listening. You know, because that's what it is now. You know, just everything I have heard. Right? Where am I? Let me see. Where am I at? Let me go. Let's see. Let's go albums. Right. So, you know, the story begins, page 2, and I'm thinking as far as like, and you have Formula of Love, Between 1 and 2, and Ready to Be. Albums I've heard the whole thing of, right? Like completely. And of course, you see, like, there's like, well, this is a lot of albums here, but some of these are, you know, they don't have as many tracks on them. Some do, like the full albums, you know what I mean? Of course, they have more tracks on them, but some of them will have a little bit less, and some of them are going to be singles. Where you get like several different versions of these songs on this album. So it may be 4 tracks, 5 tracks, or whatever, but it's different like versions or remixes or however of the song. Maybe perhaps different language versions of the same single track that's on there. So but it'd be fun. It's, you know, it's gonna be a good time. Let me just take a peek here. Okay, so so this is the album with TT. Okay, see, Twice Coaster Lane 1, and then what do we have? Twice Coaster, and there's Knock Knock, and there's TT, and then now you see what I mean. Like, this is one example here, because some of these are actually on Twice Coaster Lane 1. So figuring out, what the difference is there, it's just one of those things. So this is a lot of albums, but to get through it is more fun than anything else. So, well, I guess that's it, right? Next one's going to be Twice Coaster Lane 1. That's the way it's gonna have to be. I think I might, depending on how things go, time and all of that, because I know Eyes Wide Open is this is a big album right here. This is another full album. Let's see. It's the group's first Korean full-length album in nearly 3 years. Okay, so not the first one, but the first one in 3 years at the time of its release. Okay, so let's see. That puts it at somewhere one of these, right? Signal. Let's see. Signal has 6 tracks. Hashtag Twice has 5. Or Twice to Gram. There it is. Okay. Okay, man. Okay. Well, we're just going to have to get through them. That's all there is to it. But that was page 2. An awesome album. That's an absolute blast to listen to from start to finish. It was a perfect follow-up to the first album in many ways. Took a theme, really ran with it, but at times it did things that I just wouldn't have anticipated at all, and pulled off some very inventive things that I don't think any other group could really do, especially not quite this well, not in this way. This is so far Twice has nothing but classics. You know what I mean? It just so far, I am highly skeptical that any album won't be a classic. You know what I mean? It's one of these things where there isn't anything that you don't like. It's only degrees of what you like more. What are the songs or albums that bring you the most enjoyment when you listen to them? Because everything is good and everything brings you enjoyment. It's just like what absolutely peaks every time you hear it, right? But it was fun. It's incredibly fun. So next time we're doing Twice Coaster Lane 1, and I know a couple of those songs already have the standalone reactions to them with the videos and all that. 1 in a Million, that has a reaction to a live performance. So with the tracks that are remaining, we'll have to take a look at those and split the difference, if there is any, between the two. And so it won't be no thing, man, to get through most of these albums. That should be just nothing but a great time. So that's what's going to be in store for the next album review. Is going to be Twice Coaster Lane 1.